Hey everyone, welcome to today's episode of the Senstennial Podcast. We're going to be covering Ottawa's free agency, and we're also going to cover a couple of the key re-signings that they did with Fabian Zetterlund and the local Sens dad, Claude Giroux. So we'll kick things off with Matt. Matt, how did you feel about, first of all, before free agency opened, Ottawa signing Claude Giroux and Fabian Zetterlund to new contracts?
I'm pretty happy with both of them. I think the Giroux one, it was just a matter of when and not if. I wasn't listening to any of the well, will he go? It's like no, he's not going anywhere. The number was better than I was expecting it to be. But I think we got a good idea of what actually was going to be happening with the Jamie Benn contract. Very low initial cap, and plus he gets that or the over 35 cap bonus, which basically any of the bonuses defer to the cap next season, which is interesting. I didn't really know those existed, but the NHL just keeps surprising me. So his contract isn't that expensive, and I think that's the fair play, especially considering um like his role in the lineup is a bit of a question mark right now. He's definitely a top nine forward, but I think it's a stretch to call him a top six forward regularly, anyways. And finally, I think John Tavares really screwed him a little bit because he took what, like $4.5 million or something crazy like that, which is a great contract for the Leafs. And I'm sure Giroux's agent was probably cursing at Tavares willing to take that. And then the Zetterlund signing, I think that's about what you're expecting to pay for a young uh, winger who strong defensively and gets about 40 points. I think he's ready to take that next step in his career, and I foresee him playing on the first line to start the season, getting good reps with Tim Stützle because he's got a hell of a shot, and I feel like he is a contender for the 30 plus goal club playing with him.
Wow, that's high praise. That's bold. I like that. That's a we're gonna mark that down. That's gonna be a return to this
Do it.
take at the end of the season.
Do it.
Yeah, no, Claude Giroux, great that he's back. I'm sure everyone knows who's watching right now at this point, but he has a full no move clause. He's getting 2 million in base salary. That's his cap hit. His total contract value is 4.75 mil, and most of the bonuses are around how many games he's going to play in the regular season, and then an extra $250,000 for each round the Ottawa Senators win. So, I mean, I don't know about win the Stanley Cup. That's part of his bonus, 250K if the Sens win the cup. Hey man, I hope he's fully motivated for that one. I'm
Cup's
in.
coming home, baby.
But yeah, no. And then on Fabian Zetterlund side of things, getting a 3-year deal at a cap hit of 4.275. There were some people who I noticed were a bit reluctant to call this a good deal because, of course, when he came to the Ottawa Senators, his production dropped quite a bit. But he wasn't playing with Celebrini anymore. So I think that you look at that and obviously there's going to be a bit of drop there. But the same thing happened initially when he was traded to San Jose. He had a drop off in production, and the following season his production went up. So I think having a consistent line mate, not being buried on the fourth line every night, it'll really help his game evolve, like you were saying, Matt. But I'll flip it over to Bennett. Bet, how did you feel about re-signing Giroux and Sutherland?
Yeah, I mean, obviously Giroux, he brings a lot of hashtag intangibles to the table. We have seen his production starting to slow in the last season or two. That's to be expected for a player of his age. So I'm not too worried about that. But I think it's one of those moves where, the $2 million that you give up to keep him around, there's an intrinsic value beyond just having him and his abilities as a hockey player in the team. He's a good leader. He's been a star of this league for a long time, and him coming here 3 seasons ago was something of a watershed moment in the post-Melnick Senators revival, and him electing to give the team another shot, another season, now that we are hopefully a playoff team. Uh, that kind of vote of confidence has value beyond the points and the faceoffs that he wins, right? But hey, he does put up points and he does win faceoffs as well, right? So
Yeah.
anyway, I think there's a lot of value, especially at 2 million a year. I like that deal a lot. And Zetterlund, I think, is a player who I think I'm really curious to see how he plays in a full season with the team. I think that him and Dylan Cousins are shaping up to be huge X factors for the Senators team. And if both of them hit the ground running and adapt to the roles that they're given on the team, I think it could have a lot to do with where the Sens finish come the end of the season. And like Nave, I think he has a high ceiling. I think that, speed and a good shot can go a long way in a top six role if that's where he ends up slotting in. And I think for an affordable contract for a few seasons, I think there's a very real possibility that by season two, season three, we're looking at that as quite a bargain, especially in a time when the cap is going up.
And
So yeah,
contracts are getting really inflated.
contracts are getting really inflated. And so I think getting both of those guys signed for basically the cost of just Giroux's contract last season is pretty good business.
Now, moving from the re-signings to free agency, Ottawa wasn't active on any of the high-end free agents. I know some people wanted them to go after guys like Ehlers or Besser. Besser ended up remaining in Vancouver. Ehlers goes to Carolina, and Ottawa settles for Lars Eller, which is not a bad thing. We have to remember that Zach Ostapchuk was playing on the fourth line for large parts of Ottawa's season. They also, had other guys who,
Same with Noah Gregor, who
yes,
was
Noah
a
Gregor.
guy for sure.
Yeah, so there were some guys who kind of came in, went up and down the lineup, like Gadet. Highmore was on the fourth line, and I know other than that one spectacular save he made, which he caused the play, but at least he recovered and saved it. He really struggled to play, especially on the defensive side of the puck, and of course that made him fall out of favor with the fan base. And so yeah, it looks like Steos decided we don't need to do anything fancy. We just need to plug the holes in our lineup, and goes out and gets Lars Eller. Now, Lars Eller has a long career in the NHL behind him. He has played over 1,100 games in his career, won a Stanley Cup with Washington, had an excellent playoffs that year, actually 18 points in 24 games. He killed it that year. Aside from that, between Pittsburgh and Washington this past season, he had 22 points in 80 games. He's not going to beat your socks off offensively, but he can chip in here and there. And the nice thing is, analytically, he was really solid defensively at 5-on-5. So that's another bonus that you're getting with a guy like him. And being that he's a veteran who's won a cup, it really fits that Steos target who they go for in free agency. They really like those veteran players who have won a cup. You look at obviously Giroux, but then you have like Perron, what's his name, Amadio,
Nick Cousins.
Yeah, Nick Cousins.
Like
Yeah.
that.
So it's like all the guys who they also re-signed. We didn't touch on that.
Giroux
But
didn't win a cup, to be fair.
oh, sorry, I didn't. Yes, you're right.
But
he went
He
to a
did
cup
not.
final.
Similar category of player. I know
Close
what you
enough,
mean.
dude. All right.
Yeah.
Chicago didn't deserve to win, man. Yeah, you are right though. I got a little ahead of myself. I was thinking this year with the Ottawa Senators.
Yeah. Yeah, he's gonna get that 250.
Yeah, he's
go.
going after that 250, man.
Yeah.
We're winning the cup. But yes, thank you, Bennett, for sadly correcting me on that one. But yeah, so guys who have vast NHL playoff experience, maybe is the better way to put it. But a few of the guys that they pursued have won Stanley Cups and are veteran players. So just another guy there who I think will bring a lot to the locker room as well. He's not one of those flashy leaders or guys who's talked about a lot. He's just comes across as one of those glue guys in the locker room, a lot of experience. I think that brings a lot of value to your roster. And I think also for other veteran guys, like obviously, I don't think there's any big locker room issues, but when you have a lot of young players and you're trying to bring in some veterans to help like get them to take that next step, it's kind of nice for the veterans to have another like well-respected veteran NHLer to come in and also be able to impart some of their wisdom. It takes a bit of the pressure off. So I like that move as well. So I mean, I'll stop gassing up Eller. I know he's just for this team likely a fourth liner, maybe a third liner at times, but maybe I'll throw it over to Bennett and just get your thoughts on Ottawa not doing anything too fancy, but picking up Eller.
Yeah, I mean he's an inexpensive option on the fourth line. Leaves the team flexibility down the road if they want to go and pick up another player at the deadline or make a bigger move. And I mean, fourth line, it can be it can be a bit of a mixed bag at the best of times. So having just like bodies to play in that role, and you might see players like Eller, you might see players coming up from Belleville. So I think it's always good to have options there, right? And he comes with a lot of experience. He's joining a leadership team uh, with the likes of Giroux, as well as, the younger leaders on the team like Tkachuk and Shabbat and, the emergence of Sanders and all of those guys. Anyway, so it's a positive locker room atmosphere already. Having some old heads in there is not a bad thing. And he didn't come very expensive, so it's all good.
Yeah, I think he ticks a lot of boxes that NHL teams that are starting to contend in the cup in the playoffs um, want on their fourth line. I think the difference in this fourth line this coming year compared to last year at the start of the season, we had the Stapchuk, we had Noah Gregor, and Adam Gaudette
Zach
and Zach
McEwen.
McEwen. Those were the rotating cast on the fourth line, and that is a fourth line of an up and coming, fringe type NHL team. I think this year you're going to be seeing Michael Amadio on our fourth line, the obviously Lars Eller, and then Nick Cousins. And I think Lars Eller brings more value overall to that fourth line than Adam Gaudette does. Yeah, we're probably going to miss the 19 goals that Adam Gaudette chipped in, but it just felt like empty calories to me. You couldn't really rely upon him at all defensively. And I'd much prefer a guy who's putting up 20 points a season, but is good defensively on that fourth line, because that's how you win games. Clamping down defensively when you can put out your fourth line and not expect them to get absolutely crumpled in their own zone. So I think it's a great addition. Low cost, has that veteran presence that bodes well for the locker room and a cup winner. So all in all, a solid addition.
Yeah, I don't have too much more to add. I realize I never mentioned the contract details, but I imagine again our listeners are well aware. But it was 1 year and 1.25 million for that deal. So again, another I would say really cheap contract for a guy who brings a lot to your lineup and to the locker room. Yeah, not much more to say on that one. But for everybody who is listening or watching to our summer recap,
I do actually want to touch on a guy who has been linked to the Sens for quite a long time.
Oh yes,
in
let's
Arthur
do it.
Kaliyev.
Let's do it. Yeah.
Obviously, he went from LA and looked pretty promising in LA, and then just kind of fell out of favor. Goes to New York for like a low draft pick, I believe. Oh no, or was it waiver? It was waivers. And didn't do much there. So to me, it's a very low risk pickup. especially because he had his best years under Steos in Hamilton. And if he can find his footing, find his confidence, he's got a lethal shot. And who knows? Who knows what the guy can do? Most likely considered a quadruple A player, as they call it. But, you know, I've seen players that are not supposed to be anything catch fire because they just got an opportunity. Look at Adam Gaudette, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he ended up earning himself like a decent contract with the Sharks. So
yeah,
I think definitely with Arthur Kaliyev, I think this would also, if we're being honest, be his last kick at the can in the NHL. I think if he can't, either light it up in the AHL like Gaudette did and earn himself a way back into the NHL, I think that like he's got to earn himself either a role as a strong depth player, maybe a third line scorer, and improve his defensive game, or just like I said, become a guy who takes off in Belleville. He is on a two-way contract, so he's being paid less in the AHL than the NHL, so it does incentivize him to try and crack that NHL roster, which is good. But yeah, I would say after that, if he doesn't have a strong season either in the AHL or the NHL, he's probably going to sign overseas in the KHL or another European league, because a lot of, like, after LA, you go to the Rangers, still don't really make an impact. Like, there's not a lot of time left for guys like that. So anyway, Bennett, did you have any comments on that?
Not really. I mean, I don't think that we've talked about Adam Gaudette yet in this series, but just he was a good servant to the club last year. He had an amazing first half of the season, kind of fell off a cliff after that. But to Nate's point, it just goes to show that, guys that are kind of like these bubble players that, bounce between, the fourth or third line of an NHL team and the top six of like an AHL team, all of these guys have skill and they have talent, and they just need an opportunity sometimes to showcase it, or they just need to hit their stride. They need to find the right coach, the right line mates, the right situation to unlock their potential. And for a guy like Gaudette, he kind of like, he showed flashes for parts of the year. I mean, more than flashes, he was a pretty consistent goal scorer before the All-Star game, basically. Or sorry, not the All-Star game, before the Four Nations. But sometimes that's all you can expect from a player in a role like this. And you never know when they're gonna put it together like that, right? So all you ask for a player the likes of Kaliyev is, timely contributions, a little bit of defensive responsibility, willing to put in a shift and do what the team needs him to do in whatever situation. And, all of these guys, when put in the right situations, can score. Everyone on an NHL roster these days has talent. So it's just interesting, if they're able to seize their opportunities. And, I'm curious to see what he can do. I think it's one of those players that, low risk, high reward situation, which is a great position to be in. You've got that with a couple of different players now, the likes of Zetterlund, the likes of Kaliyev. It's like guys who don't cost a lot relative to their potential, but who can make an impact for the team at both ends of the ice. And so I'm curious to see what it can do.
Awesome. Now, on that note, now that we've covered Kaliyev as well, thank you for watching or listening to this week's episode. And we'll be back again soon. We have a couple of prospective guests that we're looking at bringing on before the next season starts. So stay tuned for those. We're excited. And of course, as always, go Sens go.
Go Sens go.
Go Sens go.